Welcome to McCrazy Fit. I'm Tucker, and this is a hamstring and glutes workout, beginning with Pilates movements and then moving into dumbbell exercises. And I'll begin in neutral spine, so that's laying flat on my back. Small natural gap of space in the lower back, shoulders down away from the ears, flat on the mat. A little bit of energy coming out of the back of the arms. Feet are together. And keeping the toes together, I'll kick the heels out and then bring the toes out to meet the heels. So toes, heels, knees, inside of the hip bones are all in a line. And with the lower belly tight, coming up into a neutral bridge, flexing the hamstrings and glutes, and back down. And again, coming up at the top, I'm making sure not to overextend, but keeping the belly tight. Exhaling up. Stopping to inhale at the top and exhaling back down. Chin is slightly tucked here. So I don't want my eyes looking at the ceiling behind me, but straight up. Beginning with a few variations of bridges here. Really get the mind-muscle connection going with the Pilates to begin before moving into the resistance training. One more. And relax, and now kick the feet out a little wider. Get a little different feel in the bridge here. So again, flexing the belly and then flexing the quad, the hamstrings and glutes to come up and back down. Want to feel the back of the legs firing rather than pulling up from the front hips and not overextending at the top. Feet are flat on the mat, but I also don't want to feel like I'm pressing my feet into the ground to lift the hips up, but rather flexing with the glutes and the hamstrings. Two more, and now on this next one, we'll go ahead and stay up. And keeping that belly tight, keeping the hips from rocking, lift one leg into tabletop and down, and the other leg into tabletop. And with the feet a little wider here, adding more difficulty to the exercise. Breathing at a comfortable pace. I'm exhaling on the lift, inhaling back down. Spine is stable, hips are stable. And continuing to breathe. One more on each side. And come on down. And hugging the knees into the chest. Letting the lower back sink into the mat for an imprinted spine stretch. And extending the right leg straight for a hip flexor stretch. Right knee comes in, and the left leg goes out straight. And back to neutral. And this time we'll roll over onto a 4-point stance. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Belly's tight. Not sagging here. I'll extend the left leg out and raise it up and lower. Continuing to breathe. I'm exhaling up, inhaling back down. 3 more. Lifting from the glute here. Minimizing any work done by the lower back. 1 more. And back in. I'll go back in child's pose to release any tension in the lower back. Back to the 4-point stance. Belly's tight, navel pulled up and away from the floor, right leg out straight, and using the glute, raising it up, keeping the leg straight and down. Exhaling up, inhaling back down. Shoulders are strong, belly's tight. 3 more. And the last one. And bring it in, and we'll go into a child's pose again. Back into a 4-point stance. Now with a similar movement, just bringing the difficulty up a little bit. Coming up into a plank. Shoulders strong, not sinking in between the shoulders. Left leg up and back down. Then alternate, right leg up and back down. Belly's tight, pulled up away from the floor. Legs are straight. Shoulders strong. Hands are contacting the mat fully. All fingers flat on the ground. And exhale up. Inhale back down. One more on each side. And down. And laying all the way down in a prone position. Hands can be interlaced with the head resting on them. Again, belly's tight, navel pulled up away from the mat. I'm going to move my feet a little wider apart. And then flexing the quads to lift the knees up off the ground. And using the glutes and upper part of the hamstring, mostly glutes, gently raising one leg in the air and down. And the other leg and down. Now my head would normally be resting on my hands, but I'm talking. Feet only need to come about 4 or 5 inches off the ground. Keeping the legs straight. Using the glute, the muscle of the glute, to raise the leg rather than pressing the hips into the mat or bending the knee. Continuing to breathe, one more on each side. And rest for a moment. Gently rock the hips from side to side. Let any of that tension out. And one more movement in this position before moving into some dumbbell work. Again, similar movement, just ramping up the difficulty a little bit. So this time, flexing both the quads, knees come up off the ground, belly's tight, not sinking into the mat, and both legs come up and down. Both legs up and down. Exhaling up, inhale back down. Legs are straight. 2 more. And 1 more time back in child's pose to relax the lower back. Great, now we'll stand up for some dumbbell work. I'll raise the camera. So beginning with a squat, similar to a goblet squat. To hit the back of the legs, I'm keeping my legs nice and wide. Toes are slightly pointed out, trying to get as deep into the squat as possible. Keeping the back straight, and the shoulders back, weights out in front. Again, feet a little wider than normal, toes pointed out. Coming down, nice stretch in the quads, or in the hamstring, excuse me, and back up. Keeping the back straight, going for 15 reps here. 5-second rest, 5 more reps, 5 on, 5 off. 3 to 4 rounds of that. Inhaling down, pausing for a moment at the bottom, exhaling back up. Eight, 7 more. Four more, inhaling down, exhaling up, flexing the glutes and the hamstrings. 2 more. Five-second rest. And 5 more. Keeping the back straight. Two more. Five-second rest. Here we go. Real slow. 2 more. Five-second rest, last round. Here we go. Two more. And there's that. One more exercise. Straight-legged deadlift. So feet are about shoulder width apart. I like to experiment closer, wider, but keeping the back straight throughout this movement. Weights in front and just hinging at the hips. I'm also imagining the hips are being pulled out as I come down, making sure not to round in the lower back. And then flex in the hamstrings to come back up. We'll do the same 15 reps, followed by the 5s and 5s. So back straight, belly's tight, hinging at the hips. Imagine the hips being pulled gently back. And when I get to the bottom, flexing the quads or the hamstrings to come back up. Very slight bend in the knees. Inhaling down, exhaling back up. Five more. Sometimes I'll add a little back component to this by flexing the back up at the top. Not doing that on this round, as the focus is just on hamstrings, but fun to add little variations to hit different parts and change up the exercise. Two more. Five seconds. Here we go, five more. Two more, inhaling down, exhaling up. One more. 5-second rest. Easy to bring the back into this. So really keeping the focus, mind-muscle connection on flexing with the glutes and hamstrings to come up. Here we go, five more. Find it helps to really focus on keeping the hips back on the way up. Two more. 5 seconds, two more rounds. Here we go. One more. Last round. Good work. Here we go. Back straight. Hinging, hips staying back, flexing the hamstrings up. Last one. Up straight. Now, hey, let me know in the comments if your hamstrings get sore from that one. Thank you for joining me. Here's my entire Pilates and dumbbell playlist. Please make sure you check that out. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you at the next workout.